must say, it has been a wild night since you came here, traveler. I've never seen someone gulp down 5 flagons of Maiga's house spirit without flinching. I must say I'm absolutely enamored. Please, take a seat. I'm sure your head will thank me. As repayment for that scene of absolute idiotic heroism, I think I will grant you a tale from my repertoire. So, buckle in my rum-soaked rose petal, and welcome to Tales from the Realm. This tale almost goes hand in hand with the ones I've told before, but for now I shall focus your attention on the continent known as Kagarra. Now you see, Kagarra itself once belonged to our current location, but when Dural decided to retreat from Andoral, he decided to take a piece of us with it, though as if a memento, a keepsake. Alas, that was not the case. It simply wished to separate us from a land that it could hide away on, away from death and destruction, but most importantly, the Emperor of Fire himself, Navaris. The lands themselves have, over time, become naturally divided by a river so vast it spans border to border, those of whom calling it the Great Divide, yet is now more commonly known as River Ybor today. Within Kagarra's mainland lie 7 realms, each ruled by its own head of state, with some exceptions to that fact. Now, to begin, let me take you across to Marlow, known as the Scimitar Realm for its beautiful arcing form across the Sea of Diamonds and into the Shrapnel Coast. It is here that the first settlement of Dural's little folk began to bring together a gorgeous fortified city known as Tanwell. Tanwell was the forefront of what would become the staple of Kagarran society, community. Within its walls bloomed trades unlike any that came before it, effective military, unionized workers, civil rights across all races, and more progressive views that would, over time, wane and wear with each leader that assumed the throne. The first leader, a woman of sheer physical prowess known as Katema the Strong, fought against her opponents and always emerged victorious, her towering half-orc frame looming over those who dared to challenge her. Alas, her reign was glorious and bloody, scandalous and heroic, for the good part of 10 long years. As her begotten body began to age, her opponents became younger, faster, more adept at the blade than she personally had a hand in training. Scandalous, as I had said before. Oh, the betrayal I can see over her face. Katema was defeated by a rather rambunctious halfling that she had raised, Olim of Tanwell. Olim, upon defeating her surrogate mother, spared her, but sent her on her way out into the chaotic wilds that still surged with magic. Olim's reign was very similar to that of her mother's, progressive, and it came with infrastructure, alchemical sciences, schools, housing, roads, pathways, trade routes, and much, much more. And at the peak of her rule came a ruthless band of mercenaries marching through the citadel. Their leader was no other than Katema herself, now in her late 60s and looking damn fine for her age, seeking to reclaim her throne. Her own private military birthed from a settlement she had established at the Horn of Katska, the very edge of Kagarra. The battle continued for 2 weeks, going from strength to strength to defeat each other's forces, but eventually succumbed to their wounds after a fateful duel that has gone down in Tanwell's history as the Duel from the Heart. Paintings and stained glass windows were erected in memory of this event, where mother and daughter, no matter how different, had to fight to their bitter end and claim what they believed was rightfully theirs. The most prominent statue by the legendary artist and sculptor Osirig depicts the two's final moments, knelt head to head, swords planted firmly in the earth, hearts asunder and tears flowing, with Katema's lips planted firmly on Olim's forehead. A mother's love became the symbol of Tanwell, as many new settlements began to emerge. A depiction of difference and love joined together at the very end. for his efforts, Osiric found himself as Chancellor of the Arts and Culture in Tanwell, as the new ruling house took the throne, the House of Iliar. Trouble is, not much of the Iliars could be found, as they were wiped from history by whoever surpassed them. These dark days in the records can only surmise the treachery that was afoot, as if whoever assumed the rule made it their life's mission to eradicate the past. Yet the years clear up and history within Tanwell begins anew, which, as far as time and history tells, began with the House of Winter, who assumed power in 1478 and ruled for some time until Tanwell's final days. You might think to yourself, what could possibly have toppled such a great society? Politics, darling. Pure politics. You see, as the new city of Linwall had emerged, dissidents within the Winter family began to emerge, especially between the twin brothers in line for the throne. The two vanished in 1611 in the dead of night, as if whisked away by spirits, nothing stolen. No signs of a struggle. From there, now heirless King Ichabod and Queen Raynham ruled out their final days and passed away only 10 years later in each other's arms. With the throne now with someone never to sit upon it again, for the first time in over a century, many began to rise up and claim the throne was rightfully theirs. Of course, greed began to overwhelm those who wished for leadership and a crown, and civil war began. The city was destroyed in the chaos, and all that stands as a memory of the great city of Tanwell ever existed, aside the rubble, stands Osiric's greatest testament to the arts, a mother's love. Now, I've waffled on about Tanwell for some time and not talked to you much about Marlow itself. I might pull you back from war and greed for a while and tell you about the natural sights of Marlow. Best place to start, of course, is King's End, which sits right on the horn of Katska. King's End is a beautiful natural formation of sea pillars that stretches out miles into the Sea of Diamonds, slowly and gradually coming inland, which has these strange fractured pieces of land shaped like octagonal pillars, as dark as volcanic glass and mysterious as the creation of our world. Some speculated it was the site of a great disaster that broke off a part of Kagarra, now buried under the ocean. What else could I say about the nature of Kagarra? Well, it is outrageously green. Forests of luscious emerald and fleeting wildlife dominate the landscape, only peppered with settlements such as Alderwood or Peloton. The food is humble, consistent with cereals and fruits grown from small local farms that feed their communities. But the Marlowians know how to bougie it up from time to time. Salted squid and candied lily of the moonless valleys canopies, to die for, my friend, simply to die for. Yet Marlow, in all of its natural beauty and humble folk, has become victim of Novarus and his need to expand his empire, and was the landing ground for his invasion. Marlow was only the start, but now the realm war has only just begun. Asides that, I'll move your attention to another part of the land, to the hills of Dural. As the name would suggest, the Colossus itself decided to settle and hide away in these towering mountains that jut from Kagarra's landscape, like a rather pimpled youngster. Smart decision on its behalf, I can agree. Hiding oneself amidst mountains that can cover your own monstrously large frame must have come as a great relief. The realm itself is cold and unforgiving, but the people who have since settled it have acclimated to the thin air and biting frost that clutches their bones. Strangely, this land, despite being ruled by proxy by Dural, has seen great progress in conquering its harsh wilderness by those who act as its leading powers, no more so than Mordian Arborwind, leader of the Duralian Pathfinders, who helped found the capital, the Vale of Kings, and several settlements such as Hastar and Valenmount. His ambition to conquer the wilds has brought exploitative trade of mining and a lot more than that to the forefront of the Duralian markets, with rare gems and metals on sale by even the most ramshackle stalls and back alleys. But I digress. Mordian has since passed during his conquest, but the mantle of realm leader has moved on to his protege, a wonderfully bright human who goes by her stage name, as it were, Velveta. Her vision for a Duralian future that moves beyond its history of chaos and collapse is brilliant, and has since began moving forward with plans to create a new name for the realm and raise Dural's banners high as a symbol of the land's historical debt to the primordial. The renaming of the land is still up for debate, and others have been allowed to submit their own proposal, but for now, Velveta must continue to explore the unknowns of the hills, and even the treacherous vaults of Farron beyond the Alessian plain. Of course, the vaults have been explored by some heroes of the realm, but whatever lies beneath the surface seems to reset its defenses, and soon as the doors close. I personally feel as though those mad enough or ballsy enough to travel into a self-maintaining dungeon of deadly, deathly death things must be desperate for the answer to what lies within. Now, as much as I love a good tangent, I must let you know that the land is corrupted by Dural's presence, so what I'm going to tell you might be a little strange. So, to begin this little informatif of the hill's history, I shall tell you of the Breach. The Breach is a span of the hills damaged by Dural's primordial ferocity, where untamed arcana flows through all walks of life that pass through. Wildlife, travelers, plants, and even the air is affected by the unstoppable energies that the Breach ebbs with, like the heartbeat of a love-struck bow. Those who travel through notice beasts have become almost intertwined with the primordial energies, swimming fiery, watery, earthen, and even howling forms. These beings, to what some broadly label as breachlings, are very intriguing, and I'd say they probably make a fantastic pet, so long as you know how to control living fire. According to the legends, the Breach and its many other occurrences across the world, nay, the cosmos, were the origins of magic as it is today. Elements of pure chaos bleeding across the landscape into the world, stretching its veins deep into Yurathan's heart. Without it, we would surely be pretty mundane as a society. Swords, shields, armor. Where's the fun in that if you can't woo a fine lord or dame with a simple incantation? Now to a place bathed in legends and magic comes the land of Mitras, home to the living mithril forest. Such a breathtaking land, but corruption rottens it to its core. A society built by our ancestors in a pact with the Witness rose from the ground and became Aeneir, a city with dreams of being the hub of inclusion, now lies ruined by scoundrels, rogues, bandits, and greed. Those who decide to set foot upon its cobbled roads find that they are within mere moments of disparity and loss. Once ruled by just people, the last family to claim lead to the once open city partitioned itself from its past and began to harvest the land for its riches, for the only claim of greed and abuse. It is said that the daughter of the family, now ruler, Iolantha, was cursed by the Witness to have her rule crumble beneath her feet and lay waste to all that was built by them. Now, cult has grown like a cancerous tumor within the city, the children of Witness, slaying those they believe corrupt the Witness's pact with the city, but have grown cruel in their practices. Their supernatural powers terrify those unknowing to the mystic arts. Clerics and paladins that remain within the dying city have called for their extermination, yet the call to duty has summoned them elsewhere, leaving the cult to dominate the masses. The religions of Aeneir now wage war against each other, battling in the streets like gangs torn asunder, driven mad by the fear of Witness. The gangs that have festered within the gaping wounds that crack within the city have become fat on power. The Fingers, the Rascals, the Mallet, all bag the eggs in the same basket. A rotten buffet. There's no peace to the people, and now trouble brews even stronger. Surely this will mark the fall of the once great city of Anir. But not all is bad in Mitras. The forest is home to natural beauty, to unique species that give us life where others might not. The lapis bumble, a mutated bee breed, bears honey that would make the gods jealous. The jade-horned elk bears meat that sustains armies, and the swooning nightingale sings songs that could rival the sirens of the Scimitar Coast. Nearby the city lies the humble villages of Lindenwood, Monid, and Hovelton, the Trinity of Trade, as they are called, as they provide most resources in the land in terms of food, water, clothing, and timber. But given the current climate in Kagarra, and the war that perfuses from its wounds, I can only imagine what will happen to these wonderful people and their works when steel knocks on their door. As much as I hate to talk dreary for prolonged times, I must tell you of Degrallen, the land of blood and fire. The people oppressed by the Crimson Queen Kagarra, her military, guards, nobles, and trusted advisors rotten to their cores. Like coal to the freezing, they cling to whatever resources may be, starving the hungry, stealing rules from the sheltered, and robbing those with nary a copper to their name. As time has marched on, the laws have become ruthless, where the wrong glance could have you killed by a guard. Imagine a world like that, where looking at someone wrong could have you buried. True cruelty in the world, and only when the royal perishes and her maggots curl up and die will change be possible. People on the outside daring enough to enter its boundaries hear tales of the Queen's torturous demeanor and the legends and rumors of the royal family that were thrown from the hells for being unending in their evil. Perhaps it is true, and the Crimson Queen is truly a demon, but even I, who has the gall to lay down my gilded charm on anyone that would even dare to come near me, I would not even stroke the air of Degrallen with my breath. This place of corruption has seen heroes of honor and glory fall to cruelty, belittling those who have praised them mere days before. Degrallen truly is a cursed place, and if the war reaches its doorstep, I'm sure those who would otherwise suffer would be glad to have a more just dictator. To the north of the god-forsaken land of Degrallen resides the calming landscapes and rolling fields of Elysia. The beautiful cities and picturesque hovels and villages pepper the peaceful land, ruled over by the Galador family for the past 200 years, from their stunning castle in their namesake city of Galador. The current ruler, Kaelin, a gorgeous woman of voluptuous figure and a lady of piss and vinegar when it comes to throwing down hands. Oh, if I only had the ability to meet her, I would shake her calloused hand and party hard. But I digress. Her practice in her rule has been advised by the best counsel in the Isle, no more so by Fyra of Longhaven and Gareth Winter of Rheem, who have developed an infrastructure that encourages safe working, a steady wage to those of working age, and strictly controlling the training of military and guards within their realm. This has made Elysia the forefront of industry and advancement as time has marched on, with secret protocols kept in reserve for times of dire circumstance, and defenses that would withstand armies for damn near centuries. The realm itself has been birthplace to great heroes and philosophers, and will continue to do so as time will allow. And now, with the war marching ever closer, the Iron Queen will stand amongst her soldiers in the final stand for Kagarra, from the Golden Fields to the frozen reaches of Aelnoth, place of magic and wonder. Prince Zaska, first of his name, rules over the mystical landscape with a soft eye. His advisors, the Seven, the prolific sorcerers of the Isle, guide the hand of the prince in the attempts to make the land peaceful and serene. People never go without food nor shelter from that cold, dark night, and the people are kind. Believe me when I tell you this, adventurer. If I could live anywhere in this beautiful world, Aelnoth would be where I would be laid to rest. The lands are trapped by traditions, yes, upholding ancient rituals and festivals with joyous reminiscence. But the prince has seen to it that the people have freedom in their action, to live life to the fullest. Coins in their pockets, education to all, and an army that would defend them to the last soldier. Zaska has given these people all they could wish for and more. The legends of this magical place are not as serene as the views, though, told to be built upon the massed graves of dragons and gargantuan monsters of old that roamed alongside the colossi. Beneath the crystal blue snow, the soil is surely matted with the blood of battles that have scarred Eolnorth's history. All of the people who fought in those wars are memorialized in stone, in monument, and saluted by sword to all who joined the army and guard, bringing the past losses to the present, as a reminder that even heroes die. And lastly, the luscious fields of the Reach, a place trapped in time and tradition. Flora and fauna that has not been seen anywhere else on the Isles flourishes as the people wander through the bamboo forests amidst the dire foxes and spirits of honored fallen. Even though this land is fraught with ancient tradition and honor codes, the city of Lorheim stands as a prison for the lost and the broken, a graveyard of sorrows for those who have nowhere else to go. The masked mayors rule over the place with secrecy, pulling the strings from the shadows, manipulating the faces of power in their actions, as the soldiers and guards of the Reach ride atop steeds over the broken masses. This place fills my gilded heart with dread, but if someone could make change, why couldn't it be you, weary traveler? Samurai, ninja, shinobi, whatever they may be as an obstacle, I'm sure eventually you could succeed. Once Novaris marches his feet onto the Reach, there will be blood. But alas, I cannot say much more about these lands, and I'm afraid to say that this will be my last tale for you all. I only hope that you have a good day, traveler, and enjoy the wonders of this world, where every death bears life, where every flower blooms a love, and every song of the birds in the sky could not compare to the joy your voice has given me. Perhaps, one day, I will return to this place and tell you another tale. But until then, as always, stay safe out there, my sumptuous peaches.